Thank you, Birch Lane Elementary School community, for joining us in our virtual community outreach meeting for the new multipurpose room building to be constructed on the Birch Lane Elementary School campus. My name is Matt Best, and I'm Deputy Superintendent of the Davis Joint Unified School District, and I'll be your host for this virtual outreach meeting. Joining me is the amazing Autumn Bird from HMC Architects. Our purpose for holding this meeting is to bring you all up to speed on the work that is taking place thus far on this MPR project. We will also be outlining all of the DJUSD bond program, defining DJUSD facilities, project processes, and sharing with you some key aspects of this exciting facility, discussing MPR placement, and giving you an opportunity to provide us feedback over the course of the coming days. I'd like to start with a huge thank you to the Davis voters for the passage of Measure M, which will allow us to build this beautiful building and many others like it throughout the district. The district has sold all of the $150 million worth of bonds related to the passage of Measure M. In related and exciting news, the district was able to secure an excellent financing rate for these bonds, saving the Davis taxpayers more than $79 million in interest over the term of the bonds, from what we had initially projected at the time of the election. In addition to the Measure M bond funds, the district has compiled additional funds to be used on bond program projects in the sum of $75 million. The bond project is by far the largest construction project the district has ever seen in many, many years. And we are excited to bring these much needed improvements to our schools and communities. The planning for the new Birch Lane MPR began several years ago, and several staff members from the Birch Lane team have been involved in discussions about the needs of this campus since then. In 2017, the district engaged Rainforth Grau Architects to plan for 4 MPR buildings at Willett, Birch Lane, North Davis, and Chavez Elementary Schools. In 2018, the DJUSD Board of Education approved a facilities master plan which included more than $450 million worth of needed improvements throughout the district. In November 2018, Measure M passed with more than 75% of the vote. In December 2018, the board prioritized projects from the facilities master plan into a bond program worth nearly $225 million. The first bonds were sold in late 2019, and planning began for the Chavez and Birch Lane MPR buildings, with Willett and North Davis following closely behind. It's the district's intention to build the same MPR at all 4 elementary campuses in order to save on design and construction-related costs. We believe constructing these buildings together will save between 10 and 15% of the overall cost of these buildings. Much of the staff and community outreach on this project took place in the fall of 2019. And this is the last community outreach before we finalize our plans for submission to the Division of State Architect and select the contractor to build this MPR. The elementary MPR projects make up a very large portion of our bond program. Nearly $50 million of improvements are earmarked for these MPR buildings. HMC Architects was selected to design all of the MPR buildings. The Board of Education approved the schematic design for all 4 buildings in October of 2019. And while there may be some small adjustments to the building's design, depending on the individual school and particular location of the buildings, they will be nearly identical. We expect the building at Birch Lane to be completed in the spring of 2022 and be ready for use during the 2023 school year. Each of our bond projects has a similar project phase timeline. The first phase of all projects is schematic design. In this phase, we work to determine what the building will be used for and ensuring that the spaces within the building can meet that need. In this case, much of the programming and schematic design work has been completed. Once the building location is finalized and the project moves into the design development phase, which we are nearing completion, During this phase, specific construction details are finalized, like paint colors, faucet types, etc. And as I mentioned earlier, this is our last community outreach meeting on this project as we are nearing the end of the design development phase. In August, this project will be submitted to the Division of State Architect. The Division of State Architect approves all plans for public school construction in California. The DSA process for this building will likely take several months. Once the drawings are approved, the district will hire a contractor and begin construction on this project. The construction phase for this project will take a little more than a year. Now I'd like to hand over the presentation to our lead designer, Autumn Bird from HMC Architect.
Thanks, Matt, and thank you guys for taking some time to sit with us and get caught up on where we are in this process. It's really exciting that we're nearing completion of the design phase, and we're all anxious to get this project going so we can get you a new building to get the students in. So for those of you that are brand new to this process and haven't been involved in any of the outreach meetings, I want to give you a brief overview of how we've gotten where we are today. And that process really started with building placement. You can see the buildings placed on the northeast corner of the existing Birch Lane campus. There's a few considerations that I wanted to kind of highlight for you guys. A lot of things went into choosing this building location, but I just wanted to touch on a few that were really lasting impacts. One is going to be the access for delivery vehicles, not only for kitchen deliveries, but also for events for the multi-purpose room, and as well as maintaining proper fire access in case of emergencies. And at the Birch Lane campus, we already had an existing drive aisle on the very northern end of campus here. So that really lent itself to a really nice location of placing this building up to the north as far as we could to really take advantage of that existing drive aisle. This also really provided a great opportunity for some sort of natural separation between the kids and the vehicles. Anytime we have kids and vehicles mixing is not a great idea, so placing the building between the playground and this drive aisle kind of naturally bifurcated the two activities to provide a bit of a safety buffer. One of the really big considerations of choosing to place this building on top of the play courts and the play fields was that it wouldn't impact any existing classrooms or the CDC classrooms. So there doesn't need to be any type of interim housing or any relocation of buildings or anyone kind of displaced during the construction process. One of the biggest considerations was the future master plan that the district's already planned for. So we didn't want this project to derail or displace any of those future projects. And something that has been brought up a lot was with this building being placed on top of the existing play courts, what are we going to do with what was there previously? So you'll see some considerations made down here for some expansion of the existing play courts to help mitigate some of that square footage that's being taken up by the existing or the new building. A little bit of a zoomed in look here on the building's placement on the site. A couple other things we really wanted to consider was the indoor-outdoor connectivity. This campus already really functions really well with a lot of outdoor circulation and indoor-outdoor to the quads and pathways and playgrounds. So we still wanted to make sure that accessibility was available in this new building as well. So you'll see the MPR, the kitchen, the servery, the music classroom, even the restrooms are all accessible outside from the campus. So that everybody has that opportunity to use all of these spaces. And then there's a little bit of inside connectivity for those spaces as well. You'll see behind the building right here where I'm highlighting is the parking. There's going to be some added parking for kitchen staff and also the potential use for some event parking in use that, or in the event that this building's being used by the community, as well as a loading zone for both the kitchen and possible event loading, or maybe some stage things that need to be brought in through the back of the building here as well. Back to the kind of indoor-outdoor connectivity, there's a large outdoor area designated by this kind of shaded gray area can be used for outdoor dining, maybe some sort of expansion for outdoor events, or just outdoor space used during recess. It connects to a lot of the landscaping areas, so it provides a nice atmosphere, not only inside the building, but what's going on directly outside of the building as well. Consideration was the existing CDC location. We wanted to make sure they still had some play area that was easily supervisable directly next to their classrooms. So you'll see their own little play area here, so they aren't being forced to take all their kids down to the main play court area and lose that direct connection to their classroom. Then you'll also see some additional play areas to the south of the building that help mitigate some of those play areas that are taken up by the building footprint. And so that's going to be used by the upper grade levels. And lastly, there are some planter areas that I'm highlighting here that can be used as rainwater collection. There's also some outdoor learning opportunities. So again, really inviting the whole campus in to experience the outdoor spaces of this building. Now moving into the building itself, the building's broken up into 3 major functions. It's just under 10,000 square feet, so the bulk of that square footage is going to be taken up by this large multi-purpose room here in the middle. This was purposely sized to be the appropriate size for an entire school assembly and then also a half school dining. So we're looking at about 640 people for an assembly and 320 for dining. So that was really a driving force for the square footage of this building. You also see a stage to the north-hand side of the MPR. So the space can also be used for performances or assemblies or some type of special event. So it's kind of the main function of the building. There are some additional functions that go along with this, including a music classroom. This classroom, like I said before, has outdoor connections. So anything going on in this classroom can function as a standalone, separate to what's happening in the main event space. It could potentially be used as a standard classroom as well, and also has a connectivity to the stage through the building, so it can function as a green room or any type of prep space for anything going on the stage. Just below that music classroom, you'll see all of the support spaces that need to go into making this building function for the campus. You'll see a boys and girls restroom, a multi-use restroom, as well as an all-gender single-use restroom and a staff restroom that are accessible to the entire campus. And then you'll see some storage spaces that allow for the music classroom to function properly and also allows for all the tables and chairs that are going to be used in this multi-purpose room to be stored away, so this entire space can be opened up for any type of free-flowing activities. And lastly, on the right-hand side of the building, you'll see the whole kitchen aspect. So there's a servery that can be accessed from both exterior and interior of the building. This is important for flexibility in the lunch hour or breakfast hour. An event can be happening in the multi-purpose room and students can still come in and grab their food and come eat in the covered dining area without disrupting what's happening in the building. Or in inclement weather, they have that same opportunity to access their food from just inside the building and aren't being forced to go outside. A couple other things that I want to bring your attention to are outdoor hand washing stations. You'll see outdoor hand washing stations outside of the servery as well as the restroom. This provides a convenient opportunity for kids to wash their hands before or after lunch or before going back into their classroom. One of the main questions we get asked a lot is in these large spaces, noise control. So there's some acoustic considerations that are happening in this space, both with the geometry as well as some acoustic materials that are being selected. And one final thing I want to note is that this building's free from fossil fuels. So all the systems are going to be running on electricity. A few more features of the building. Along with the acoustic considerations, natural daylighting was brought up a lot as a major want for this space. So this light blue color that you see here is all the glazing that's going to be in the building. And with all that glazing, the next question that always follows is what about heat gain? So that's where the roof lines really come into play. You'll see these long, low sloping roofs with some really deep overhangs. And this allows us to control how much of that sunlight's actually reaching those spaces. You also see these vertical fins here help us to control the sun on the east and west side of the building as well. I mentioned indoor-outdoor connectivity before. You can see again these covered spaces really allow for that natural flow of students indoor and outdoor, dining indoor and outdoor. Another fun thing to note this kind of colorful rainbow area or specific art wall designation spots we have to really give a sense of pride for each campus's specific building. This is one thing that will change for each building on all the campuses. It can be an opportunity to showcase the school colors or maybe a mascot or even some student artwork to really give each building its own personality. Another thing to really integrate the building into the campus is the scale of the building. With a large multi-purpose room and stage, you do tend to have some high volume spaces that you can see in the middle here. So the building was specifically designed to step down from that high volume space and again have those low roofs to really bring the scale back down to the existing campus and the neighborhood context that's surrounding it. Lastly, we're really starting, as Matt mentioned, in these phases to start nailing down what all of our finishes are going to be. So we're really looking at finishes that are going to be durable and economical, but are also really aesthetic and pleasing and integrating into the campus culture. And so you can see some of those that are being selected here. We really look forward to moving into the next phase of this project and seeing this building really come to life and seeing kids happy running around inside.
Thanks, Autumn. We hope that you'll continue to stay informed and engaged on this project, and you can find a great deal of information about all the bond projects in the district, including key aspects and project milestones and frequently asked questions on the DJUSD website at djusd.net/bond. You can also subscribe to our monthly DJUSD bond newsletter by visiting the website. We'd love to hear your thoughts about this building and its proposed location. You can send feedback to facilityplanning@djusd.net. The comment period for this meeting will end on July 26th. All emails sent to the facility planning email address will be shared with the entire bond team. Thank you for watching, and we hope that you and your family are well.